Go ahead and sign in.
You need a pen?
Mom says I'm so contagious.
Skip the chaos and the germs. Log in to waitfromhome.com. See wait times at over 15 UMC clinics. And when it's time to come in, we'll call or text. Skip the wait. Waitfromhome.com.
Welcome to the RedRaiders.com postgame show brought to you by UMC Health Systems. We're here in Lawrence, Kansas after Texas Tech's 30-20 victory Saturday afternoon against the Kansas Jayhawks. I'm Don Williams from the Avalanche-Journal alongside our sports editor Nicholas Talbot. And Nick, Tech was a 31-32 point favorite in this game, and it didn't go anything like that. Red Raiders wound up having to hold on there at the end just to pull this thing out.
Yeah, they needed a late interception from Deshaun Johnson just to get this done. Really, probably the worst performance I've seen from this year. Yeah, they had 17 penalties against Baylor, but at least they came out and fought that game. This game, you can't really say that. It just came out flat. Patrick Mahomes didn't have his usual magic. You could tell from the first interception he threw, yeah, it looked like a punt, but the major thing that I saw today is the offensive line protection wasn't there for him. He's had that all season, and once he didn't have it, he got a little rattled, which is unusual for Mahomes. Then he lost LaRaven Clark, that's a big blow.
Yeah, although I think LaRaven Clark's going to be okay. I noticed when he came back out after halftime, he jogged out with the rest of the guys. He was in full uniform. He did the same halftime calisthenics that all the other guys did. He was doing the knee lifts and the kicking his legs up in the air, so he looked fine. And Cliff Kingsbury said after the game that he was held out for precautionary reasons, so I think he's going to be okay. But the offense might not be okay when they get back to Lubbock, because Cliff Kingsbury said DeAndre Washington, who had 160 yards rushing, was, in Cliff's words, really the only guy on offense who had a good look in his eye. He was really harsh with the offensive line, although there are 5 sacks allowed. I kind of disagree with Cliff Kingsbury. He said that while he didn't think Patrick Mahomes played well, he thought that the sacks were pretty much on the offensive line. I thought some of it, Mahomes needed to get rid of the ball sooner.
Yeah, he did. And that's the thing with Mahomes. He's kind of a gambler. He's kind of the guy who's going to roll out. He's going to make the big plays. Today, for some reason, he just didn't move well. He had that injury before, but he kept moving well. Today, I don't think he moved well. He let the pocket kind of collapse around him before he got out of there, and it just wasn't his usual self that we've seen. That's going to happen from time to time. The big thing, though, is luckily it was against Kansas, which is probably the worst team in the Big 12.
I think it will. I'll tell you what. I think if this is any other team but Kansas, Tech loses today with the way they played.
Absolutely. And Kansas kind of gave this one away. They played a lot better than they've been playing. I think Ryan Willis is really going to be the real deal for them. He showed a lot of poise out there, but their kicking game kind of gave this away.
Three missed field goals.
3 missed field goals and a missed extra point. That's
the difference in the game.
10 points, and they win this game. That's Kansas just isn't very good on the kicking game, and then it showed the day, and it really cost them the game. And Texas Tech should be very glad they got out of here with a win with the way they played today.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury, again, we said that, he really commended DeAndre Washington for the effort, and he also commended the defense. I was just looking here, though. Kansas with 475 yards total offense. Now, the defense did make some big stops. KU had the ball in Tech territory, I believe, if I counted up correctly, 9 times. 9 times that Kansas was across midfield and gets the 3 touchdowns and nothing else out of the other 6 possessions. But, in the fourth quarter, they also scored a couple of touchdowns as well. So it's not like the defense was a brick wall. KU put it in the end zone a couple of times in the fourth quarter and make this thing really nervous for Tech folks at the end.
At this point, I think we know the defense isn't going to be very good at stopping teams. It's just not. They gave up 200. Even when they had a shutout going in the first half, they had given up 257 yards to Kansas. That's not a sign of a very good defense. What this defense does well, though, and what can help it win in games just like it did today, is create turnovers. Deshaun Johnson had a couple today. J.J. Gaines has been really coming on strong and creating turnovers. They almost had another fumble in the back of the end zone. If they just
Brandon Jackson and Braden Fajoko were fighting over.
Yeah, and they would have had it if they would have realized who they were fighting with there. And that's something they can really build on going forward, because they're creating turnovers, and that's what really wins you football games, and that's what won it for them today.
So, again, Red Raiders knock off Kansas 30-20 to go to 5-2. Tech still needs one more win to become bowl eligible. Next week it's Tech at Oklahoma, and then after that, back home for a home game against Oklahoma State as we begin this stretch of 5 consecutive games that I said earlier this week. I think the betting lines on those games, I think, all likely to be single-digit games. So they're games that you could win any of those games or lose any of those games.
Absolutely.
So.
Texas Tech could come out of this stretch, end of season stretch 5-7, or they could be 8-3, 9-3, 8-4, 9-3, and go do a really nice bowl like the Alamo Bowl.
So I guess that'll wrap it up here from Lawrence, Kansas. Again, look for all of our coverage after the game and on into next week on RedRaiders.com and LubbockOnline.com. Reminds you the final score again, Texas Tech 30, Kansas 20 for our sports editor, Nicholas Talbot. And for our multimedia editor, Mark Rogers, I'm Don Williams from the Avalanche-Journal. This has been the RedRaiders.com postgame show brought to you by UMC Health Systems.